Hello, welcome to Wrestling Made Me Cry. My name is Kiley. This is Collins. I'm getting in the habit of introducing us like at the beginning. That way we
I
don't
am so
forget.
proud of you.
I know we're finally getting our act together on episode 18.
Finally.
Also, I have like a backlog of like old wrestling shirts, and I just wanted to start wearing them. So like I have today.
Oh,
It's really ratty because I wore this shirt so many times, but it's Bucks of Jericho. And then it says, or is it Y2 Jackson? If you're a BTE fan, you know. But I just have so many old wrestling shirts that I don't wear anymore because they're like fading, and I want to preserve them as artifacts of my life. Mm-hmm. And so but you know what? I don't mind whipping one out on Wrestling Made Me Cry. So here it is. Young Bucks, Chris Jericho, who is not in good favor with me right now. But anyway, Bucks of Jericho, or is it Y2 Jackson? But how are you, Collins?
It's been a week. I got to Tuesday and I said, I'm done. Can I tap out? I worked my shoot job, 11 hours of overtime this week.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I looked at my timesheet and I was like, 51 hours. Okay, this is too much. Plus doing wrestling stuff, plus making myself available for post-show stuff, and also learning how to produce on StreamYard, which is it's not cake. It's not cake. There are so many nuances and learning how to do that. So I'm just doing my best. And there was plenty to watch for wrestling, and I tried to keep up, but man, I'm tired.
I know.
I'm not wearing my watch. It said that I slept 11 and a half hours last night.
You needed it.
How are you?
I'm good. It's getting to the point where, so like my semester is really picking up. For those of you who don't know, I'm in a PhD program for history. So like I'm getting to the point where I'm getting to maybe go travel for research for the dissertation, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But in order to do the PhD program, I have to teach. So like my job is picking up, wrestling is picking up. This is my favorite time of the year for AEW, which is my, maybe it's a shocker to people, but it's my favorite promotion. And I know it's crazy. And life is just getting crazy and chaotic. But you know what? I had a good time with wrestling this week. I think listen, Chris Jericho came back, but some other fun stuff happened. So we take the good with the
bad. Chris Jericho.
My thoughts on Chris Jericho are known, but good morning to everybody in the chat who says good morning. Ryan says, I turned a bunch of old wrestling shirts into crop tops for the summer. I did that too. I have an old Terry Funk shirt that I turned into a crop top years ago. I have a Fashion Police shirt. Oh my God. You remember Fashion Police?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Love of my life.
I know that we're going to do Halloween costumes.
Listen, I have a Fashion Police costume.
Okay, let's talk.
We'll talk. Listen, do you guys remember Fashion Police? Do you remember how incredible they should have won the tag titles? First of all,
they should have. Absolutely.
Second of all, I have been thinking about the Fashion Police at least once a day for years. Oh my goodness.
She was trying to crawl up. Okay.
She heard Fashion Police and she came running.
Are you okay?
Oh. She also misses Tyler Breeze.
Yeah.
I love Tyler. Oh my God. So now I'm like shaking. I'm like, I need to tell the world how great Tyler Breeze is. Tyler Breeze is such a great person.
Yeah.
And he's such a great wrestler. And he's so underrated. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. I thought about taking my wrestling shirts and turning them into a quilt. I think I've talked about that
I have my stack over in the corner. If you can see it, please don't look or comment. I'm starting that because I have my like old Kenny the Cleaner shirt that is so cracked. and I'm so afraid to wear it. I get you.
I'm thinking like some of them are really, really special to me. Maybe I'll frame them, but I want to do a quilt mainly because I think t-shirt quilts are so cool. And also, it'd be so cute to have all my little wrestling memories in a quilt. Because a lot of the shirts I have, I bought at shows. Like I have a Maserati, if you guys remember Maserati. I have a Maserati shirt. I have some old New Day shirts.
Ooh. How come all the New Day shirts, like the good New Day shirts, have been blue, but it's the color blue that I don't wear?
Yeah, it's like a tealish blue.
Yeah, I don't wear that blue, but I love it for them.
Yeah, and they don't really fit me that well anymore because I bought them when I was smaller. So now I've worked out a lot. I'm bigger. I'm also, I grew up. And so now I just have them and I don't want to part with them because obviously they're important and they're good memories for me, but I'll make a quilt. There's a company that turns t-shirts into quilts.
Yeah, there is.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it. My little wrestling shirt quilt, because they're all just in my closet because I don't wear them because they're faded like this and all cracked, and especially if they're from Pro Wrestling Tees, you know how it goes with that. You know how it goes.
Don't get me started. Me talking with I watched it one time and I'm like, hey, I even watched it inside out. What's going on? And they were like, you must not be washing it correctly. And also with that fabric, you should be line drying it. And I'm like, who line dries? Who
line dries a t-shirt?
A t-shirt?
Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but I have old t-shirts from indie wrestlers who are getting them printed God knows where, someone's basement, and they're fine.
Right.
So, I don't know. But listen, I'll do what I have to do. I'll turn them into a quilt. That we just had a 7-minute long discussion about t-shirts. But you know what? I love wrestling t-shirts. I love wrestling merch. I love all the things. So, oh my God, speaking of wrestling merch, can I just say the shirts that they've come out with for Hangman Page, Chef's Kiss, beautiful. Everything about Hangman Page. Oh my
gosh, everything about him. Mm-hmm.
They're like Western themes, but not in a hokey way. And they're like, oh, they're so good. They're so good. I love them. AEW needs to do more of that.
Yeah, I appreciate because I follow a lot of artists, right? And seeing posts on X, guess whose stuff is going to be on, Shop AEW. So many of my friends are getting those opportunities, which I think is incredible. I think we really should be supporting artists and not AI, because AI is stolen artwork and you cannot convince me any less. That one Kenny Omega shirt that was AI and so obviously AI pissed me off, that irritates me because there are so many people putting out so much fan artwork that deserve those jobs as well. So honestly, I love seeing people get that out. So many good Hangman shirts, which means if they're putting out so much Hangman merch, it means that people are buying it.
Yeah.
He's love
the ace of AEW. Hangman fans, we need to rise up. I love Hangman. I love everything he's doing. But also, did you see that the picture of Hangman outside of Swerve's burning down house, he's sitting there with his drink, it's hit the mainstream. It's a meme now. It's a meme now. Like an inspirational quotes page made a meme out of it. I shared it on Twitter. Hold on.
Oh my God.
He's mainstream. See, my past traumas and the resulting negative beliefs that are no longer useful for me. Yeah, like respectful memes. 1.9 million followers on the Hangman train.
Oh my God.
Choo,
Choo.
Hangman is a star. I love Hangman.
Mm-hmm.
And I
agree.
After the Swerve thing, the little tease of his remorse and now he's really like grabbing onto Crazy Hangman to stay afloat in his life. Chef's kiss, beautiful storytelling. Nothing in AEW comes close. But one thing I did want to talk about, because I loved this promo, is King Jon Moxley. So those of you who haven't seen it, go. It's on AEW's Twitter. It's on their YouTube, whatever. Go see this promo because it's quintessential Jon Moxley, and it's so good. But after, they attempted murder of Bryan Danielson, the camera follows Moxley and Claudio and Pac and Marina, and they're like, he's talking about how he needs to do this for AEW, whatever. And there's a scene, like they're walking around backstage, like as this is being filmed, and Yuta and referees and medical staff walk by carrying Bryan Danielson. You know how they, for whatever reason, they didn't put him on a stretcher. They carried him by his limbs.
Why?
I don't know why. Weird, but okay. And Jon Moxley basically says, I'm the one true king of pro wrestling. And he's right, first of all. Second of all, I loved it. And it really sold me on Moxley as a heel, because I was a little concerned because he's so beloved. Sometimes it's hard to turn someone like that into a heel and make people actually believe it. But he's a dirty, dirty dude. And you know what? So is Claudio. Claudio's a snake. And Claudio also, this entire week, has been on social media and on AEW, basically being the little knight behind the king, Jon Moxley. And I am so into it. This whole thing is so badass. Not just Marina. This whole thing. And I love it. Wheeler Yuta being heartbreaking, also love that.
Last night, his match versus Anthony Henry. I am on the Anthony Henry train, right? I watch ROH, watching him have these singles matches while JD Drake is out with injury has been so wonderful, because like seeing his character develop and seeing him develop as a wrestler has been phenomenal. Absolutely. So seeing him against Yuta, and y'all know I'm not Yuta's biggest fan. Sorry about it. It just puts a weird taste in my mouth after the whole ROH Pure Championship thing. But this new Yuta, I have been hurt. I've been, I've watched my mentor literally be, have an assassination attempt in front of me by my brethren, my friends, my best friends. So it has this like ignited passion. I don't know. Passion is not like the correct word, but it's like a intensity that can only be funneled by trauma. But watching Yuta just become an emotional wrestler, and you know what I mean by emotional wrestler. There are wrestlers who, like Cody, wrestles with emotion, and it creates stars. And I think that Yuta is definitely a star in the making, and I think that there is potential in that. But just seeing him like go into full Super Saiyan mode, absolutely loved it, hands down. Cannot wait to see what this develops into, because I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it
too. And just a reminder, guys, if you want your question or your comment or whatever read on air, make sure to submit a super chat and we'll read all of those. But back to Yuta. I think for me, what is the most interesting is for so long, he's been, even before Blackpool Combat Club, even when he was in Best Friends, right? He was like the little brother who just wanted to hang out with the big kids, and he learned from them and, became this wrestler that he is today.
Right.
And I think the interesting part for me is we've never seen Yuta be so mature in not just the wrestling, but like the stories that he's telling, which obviously is intentional. That's part of like the bigger story of his development as a wrestler. But he is so convincing to me as this sort of heartbroken, lost guy. Because if you think about it, because like he's still clinging to Blackpool Combat Club, right? He's still wearing the jacket, still got the whole thing going on. But he is very much adrift. And that's the first time in AEW that he really has been. And it's because, he betrayed Best Friends, and then he was betrayed by Blackpool Combat Club. So all he has is Danielson, who's in the hospital. fighting for his life or whatever.
Fighting for his life.
Fighting for his life. So Yuta is like, this is the most compelling I think he's been as a storyteller, because he's always been a piece of Jon Moxley story or a piece of Danielson or the Blackpool Combat Club or whatever. He's never stuck out in the way that he is now. So I'm excited to see where Yuta goes from here. And also I'm very, very interested in this heel faction, the new Blackpool Combat Club, especially with Moxley just being completely unhinged. It reminds me of when Moxley debuted in AEW and he cut that promo backstage. He's like, they'll all come to my funeral to make sure that I'm still dead. That feels like this Moxley more than like anything else in the interim. So that's why I'm so stoked about that. But yeah, this whole story has been just an emotional roller coaster. And Pac is just there. He's just like, yeah.
I mean, Pac is doing the dirty work. He's doing
a lot of the heavy lifting. But you know what?
Right. Like, are you more mad at Moxley for actual murdering, the Claudio actually doing the uppercut, or Pac who went in to hug Yuta knowing what was to happen, that he knew this whole time?
He's a bastard.
He's the bastard.
He's a bastard.
He's the bastard. I really appreciate the camera angles every time that Pac is wrestling, because they go backstage and it's in the back of the tunnel, so it's with all the, I don't know what that's called, partition, I guess.
Yeah.
So in between, and you're kind of like seeing him, like I'm watching him about to murder someone. It's very, it's very murdery, very bastard, very threatening, so to speak. So I don't know. I'm excited for whatever happens, because this is the most excited I've been about a wrestling storyline that hasn't really involved. I mean, that there is a world champion involved in the matter, but this isn't for the world championship. Yeah. This is not something that we saw coming for so long, right? We saw coming Hangman, winning over Kenny Omega. Like, we knew that was in the pipeline a year before. I didn't see this happening with the BCC breaking up like this. I don't know if anybody else saw, Danielson being murdered.
And it's so weird because like I had anticipated something, because Danielson wasn't really hanging around the BCC on shows and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I didn't think that it would be something like this. I thought it would be like a soft just separation and there would be no story element to it.
Right.
But especially with Danielson's retirement sort of looming, this was a shock to me. And the whole angle at All Out, everything that's happened since, especially the promo work. I've just been very invested in this story. And I don't know how it's going to end. Like, I think about it in my head. And I'm like, okay, obviously Moxley Danielson, that's like the two big things here. But I think the bigger goal is to make Yuta and Pac bigger stars than they are. Because Pac, we talked about it last week, there's a lot of obstacles in Pac's life, in his career at AEW. And so it's like, how do you get there? And then you also have Marina, who Moxley, for, all reports and everything, really is taking her like under his wing and helping her, getting her over all that kind of stuff. And then you have, the added element of Claudio, who, is seemingly Moxley's number one supporter, the biggest supporter of the cause and the mission. And now, as we know, Eddie Kingston's number one rival and, the snake that Eddie Kingston made him out to be. So Eddie Kingston, who's out on injury still, like that is another element to this, because
I know
Claudio and Danielson, Eddie versus Danielson. And so that's what I really enjoy about AEW, is that it all happens in this AEW universe. And at like any point in time, elements of a story can be pulled from the past to be relevant to now. Right. And so there's so many different threads in this story, because if you pick a wrestler who's part of this story, right, you can follow their feuds, and all of those people are somehow connected to everybody else. So there's a lot going on AEW that I think is BS, Chris Jericho mainly, but this I think is like what AEW really does best, is these like really intricate feuds, these really intricately designed stories with all these different elements in them, and that's what sets them apart. So I'm into it, and I'm into Wheeler Yuta. I've always been into Wheeler Yuta, but even more so now.
I love him. I love them all. I think with Moxley, I didn't expect him to come back so soon, right?
Yeah.
We all wanted him to be on a break. I wanted him to have a break. I wanted him to go on vacation. But it seems like vacation time is over.
He strikes me as the kind of person who's like, yeah, I'm going on vacation, or I'm taking time off work, and then they can't sit still.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just can't relax. So that's what he strikes me as.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm never going to turn down Jon Moxley. If he wants to, he could do anything he wants in AEW, and I'd be like, yes, I accept it. And he has done some things that I thought were a little goofy.
A little off, yeah.
A little off, but this is not one of them. I'm really, really into this. I thought it was really funny, William Regal, like, smiling on SmackDown. I was like, William!
Okay,
can we... given us anything!
Okay, so much happened. And here's the thing. We've lived through so many, so many different SmackDown going to Fox, SmackDown going to USA, SmackDown on the, Sci-Fi Network, SmackDown has been on so many different channels that, like, to me, I didn't think it was that big of a deal that SmackDown was going to back to USA. I was like, okay, cool. Apparently it was a big deal. I should have probably gone to the show, but I probably would have hated myself because 2 hours and it ends with the bloodline again. It's been 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of it, but it's fine. It's a developing story. It's whatever. Mm-hmm. I love a good cage match. I love a good, gimmick or whatever. It was in Seattle. So the reason why I didn't go, I had a ticket and everything. I bought myself one of those cheap seats and I was just going to walk around. Mm-hmm. It's because, again, I worked 11 hours of overtime, which means I was in the city every day except Friday. And the last thing I wanted to do was sit in Seattle traffic.
You're right. And for Solo Sikoa, listen,
not worth it.
I didn't think it was that big of a deal either, because I was like, okay, WWE and USA, whatever. But WWE apparently thought it was a big deal. Because they want everyone and their mother coming out of retirement to do a special appearance. Okay.
They had so many people in the crowd. I mean, Rob Van Dam was there. The Eddie Guerrero's wife that we don't talk about took a break from being a numpty, so to speak, was there. But I just think it was exactly what you would think. It's SmackDown is back on USA, and
here's a very average SmackDown.
Right. A match ended in a DQ, and I was like, oh, I'm watching SmackDown. I'm definitely watching, and that's not to say that, like, it's not to say that I don't enjoy WWE. I love WWE. I pay PLEs, but I don't know. I watched the highlights and it's fine, but I did for all that showed up for my live stream. Thank you while you watched me scream while Roman Reigns came back, because I do love Roman Reigns. I'm just, I'm excited about Bayley and Trinity. Nope. Naomi teaming together. So
yeah, I think I've just been so burnt out on the bloodline for years that it's very, very hard for me to get excited about anything having to do with them.
Yeah.
And like, I was a really big Solo Sikoa fan when he was in NXT, because I saw him at like an NXT house show, and I was like, he's pretty cool. Like, he's a decent wrestler, and you know, he's pretty cool. And now I get so tired of looking at him that I just can't.
Kylie, that's so funny.
He's everywhere. For what?
Kylie, do you remember our first podcast together where I came on Tag Talk and we were just shitting on the Bloodline?
The world needed to hear it, because we were right.
I know.
Listen, I think if you took that podcast and you re-released it now, everything would still apply. I really do. I think so. I think that it's still 100% valid. Because what are we doing?
What are we doing? I don't know. This is Wrestling Made Me Cry, and this is making me cry for more different storylines.
And listen, and I think it's actively harming Cody. I think I haven't been all that invested in Cody's title run because I was already burnt out from the year of adversity he had to overcome. I was so done with it. And so now I'm like, the bloodline was cool. And then it became very quickly not cool. And I think WWE is trying to like shove people into the bloodline to make it cool again. But they're shoving in the blandest oatmeal people in the world. There's no
oatmeal people.
There's no spice to it. Solo Sikoa is oatmeal. And don't even get me started on Tamatanga.
I like that they are setting up Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns. I like that because I like Jacob Fatu, yes, is very new to the scene, but there is like a gruffness that I love in my wrestling that it should exist in this type of feud with Roman Reigns. But who have we not seen Roman Reigns against?
And Jacob Fatu, listen, big fan. Jacob Fatu, I think, is in like the current iteration of the bloodline the best.
Right.
Group. But I think I think it's abundantly clear that Roman Reigns was holding the ship together. Yeah. And two, I think that overall, just having Roman Reigns fighting the bloodline, I don't think it's the best use of Roman Reigns. And
what would you want to see him do?
Anything else, because I think the issue is Roman Reigns still, and you know, people might disagree with this, but I think to WWE fans, I think Roman Reigns still feels larger than life. He feels very much like the big star, everything like that. And the bloodline, probably because it doesn't have Roman Reigns, has felt very lackluster and very like directionless, and like the kids are playing while daddy's not home. Kind of right? And so Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns, yes, great match. Jacob Fatu is going to look great, whatever. But I also can't help but think, how interesting would it be? Also, like, take Cody out of the situation, because what? I totally forgot that Cody was part of this, so let's pretend he's not. But I think Jacob Fatu, unless he beats Roman, which I think Jacob Fatu should be like a much bigger deal than he currently is to the bloodline. But Roman Reigns still, and Cody to some extent, I would think, still feels like main event WrestleMania stars. And the bloodline does, I mean, WWE doesn't have a whole lot of those kind of people anyway. But Roman Reigns, that's definitely... Don't even bring up Roman Reigns versus The Rock in the chat, because I have so many thoughts, and this will quickly derail. But I just feel bad. Like, I feel bad for Cody. Ironically, I feel bad for Solo Sikoa, because I feel like he's kind of taken the brunt of all the hatred, when really there's other people in the bloodline it should be directed to, and I'm not naming names, but I think we all know. And I think that, like, overall, Jacob Fatu should have just destroyed the bloodline, and we could have been done with it.
It would be great.
And it would have been done and over. And you could have brought Roman back and had him do something else. But now we have The Rock looming. Like, and The Rock is interesting to me because his Hollywood career is kind of on shaky ground. Like,
one bad movie and his career is on shaky ground.
It's been more than one, I would argue. I think it's been a few years.
Oh my god.
Listen,
Wait, what other movies other than the Black Adam?
Oh, and the Black Adam had a lot of drama surrounding it.
His Wikipedia page is too long. Somebody has been writing love letters to The Rock.
I think I would say his last good movie was Moana. I would say no. Let me pull it up. Yeah, Black Adam, Fast and Furious 2019, Red Notice, Red One, Moana 2 hasn't come out yet, but
I don't even know what Red Notice is.
Oh, it was with Ryan Gosling. He played like a spy, and he's like hunting down criminals.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
Gosling.
They're the same person.
They're not.
Yeah, looking at his like all the movies he's been in, the last good movie he was in was Moana.
Wow.
Jumanji? So bad.
You didn't like for someone who likes
Central Intelligence?
Okay, I didn't know.
Oh my god. This is turning into I'm like sweating. I forgot how like The Rock's drop off should be studied. But now he's going to go back to WWE because he, back to my point, because you do bad movies, you don't get booked for movies. And they're going to give him the world. They're going to give him everything that he wants. And
see, Clown in the chat is letting us know it went straight to Netflix. So that's probably why I didn't see it, because I paused my Netflix subscription, because not a lot of good things are coming with Netflix. I don't
know. They're kind of slacking, Netflix in general. Yeah. Like their movies, their series, like, and what I really hate about Netflix, not to derail too much, but what I really hate about Netflix is they do like a season of a show.
Yeah.
And then they wait to see if people binge watch it. And if they don't binge watch it fast enough, they cancel it.
And then people like 2 months later go, did you guys know about this show? And it's like,
and then you get all these like bring back whatever hashtags, and Netflix doesn't bring back anything.
It's rude. Absolutely rude.
But they bought Lucifer from Fox, and in my opinion, destroyed it. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. And the Rock movies did not peak at Tooth Fairy, because Tooth Fairy was like 2009 or something, and Moana was really good. The Rock was really good in Moana. Listen, give him his props. He sang a very good song.
You're welcome.
It was banger.
I don't want us to get a
banger.
Copyright strike.
Yeah, we don't want a copyright strike. The Rock is actually like, he has a setup to track his mentions, and he hears us talking shit. that would be peak Rock. But anyway, back to the
oh my gosh.
I have really no desire to see Roman versus The Rock. I'm going to be honest.
It's going to make money. It'll
make a lot of money.
Shitting money, Yeah,
and they'll sell T-shirts with like a face off, and it'll make money, and I respect it because Roman Reigns should be paid. But like for me, and like what I enjoy in wrestling and that kind of stuff, I honestly don't care.
That's why we have alternatives, right?
Yeah, that's why we have AEW. That's why we have Yuka Sakazaki returning to AEW.
Oh my God. The fact that I was so worried that they weren't going to mention that she's been gone, because she freaking broke her leg.
Yeah.
And kept wrestling. This girl is, yes, the magical girl, but she also is psychotic. Who does that? Who continues to go about their life, go about their wrestling matches? Well, something is clearly broken. Hello. Insane. Love that she was back. Love that she beat Serena Deeb. Sorry. I told my husband last night while we were watching it, I go, Are they going to actually do something with Serena Deeb? Because she suddenly looks a little bit more glamorous, right? They're doing something better with her makeup and glam, right? They're doing something better with her hair. Her hair looks a little bit better, right? Her presentation looks a little bit better. Are they actually going to do something with Serena Deeb, or are they just going to have her be this pompous asshole professor and everyone just goes, yeah, you're the professor, but you don't win?
Yeah.
Why are we not winning? So yeah, last night I did cry because Yuka Sakazaki is back. Love to see what they're going to do with her. Would love to see her versus Mariah May in some capacity, because that's going to be good.
Yeah. I'm excited because I think Mariah May having high quality opponents really gives her a chance to show out. I think, as we saw against Toni Storm. And so for me, I'm excited to have Yuka back because she brings like a different kind of flavor to the women's division. She's also an incredible athlete, underrated athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she is someone who like really understands wrestling, like on a fundamental level. And I love
entertaining. Her. Entertaining as all hell.
She's so entertaining. And I get excited to see her because she's always so happy to be there. And so Yuka Sakazaki versus Mariah May, to me, like the floor is 4 stars, right? Like they get 4 stars minimum. So I'm excited about that. And when I'm outside of them, obviously, I'm really excited that the women's division, we're doing some more interesting matchups. We're trying stuff out. We're getting a little bit, risky and experimental with stuff. And it's paying off. Because like Queen Aminata, coming out and saving Sky Blue and challenging Mariah May, I think has put a lot of eyes onto Queen Aminata, which is obviously a benefit for her.
That backstage moment. Oh,
Queen Aminata, she does not put up with anything.
She's actually won matches. And Serena Deeb is giving her shit? Okay.
Yeah, Serena Deeb. Yeah. Queen Aminata is Moana, and Serena Deeb is the Tooth Fairy. I loved Moana. I'm never going to let that go. But anyway, I think in general, I think the women's division AEW is in its best spot, I think probably ever, in terms of like the quality of talent, the quality of stories, like all the basic wrestling things. And Yuka is, I think, a great addition, obviously, but I think she kind of fills a void in the characters of the women's division. She's happy-go-lucky. She does the high-flying stuff, but she's also a little bit goofy, but when you push her, she's tough. And so I think that she's a great addition. I think Mariah May, obviously it's very early, and obviously she hasn't had a ton of like real serious title defenses, but I love her as world champ. I think she's doing great work. Her promos are also great. And I don't know, I'm just so optimistic. I really am very, very optimistic. Stokely also was poking fun at Willow this morning because Willow lost her CMLL. That is such a tongue twister. Women's title. But also Stokely is teasing like a tag team.
Did you see all the different tapes that he was looking at?
Yes. Listen, I'm excited.
Okay, I had it up in just a little bit ago because he had all the Briscoe versus FTR matches. He had Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers in there. Let me see if I can find it. No, I don't want to watch the video. Okay. Briscoe's FTR. It looks like Ishii and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Kingdom. Swerve and our glory versus the Acclaimed. Also, who has a DVD player anymore? Do you?
Super Villains. I don't.
Bucks versus Sting and Darby. Ooh.
And so, like, he's obviously studying the AEW tag team division, and the people in it, the big players, the stars, whatever. So he's clearly like ushering in a tag team. Hurt Syndicate, maybe, I don't know, could be anybody at this point. But I am very, 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 very excited because the tag team division on Dynamite, the gauntlet thing, scared me. And then we have this, and then we also had FTR, Grizzled Young Vets, Outrunners universe, which kind of reinvigorated me a little bit.
I love comedy wrestling when it's backed up by like legitimate talent. The Outrunners every single week. I need it. And it looks like the Acclaimed is going to have a run at them. And I am hoping that the Acclaimed loses. Not just because I don't like the Max Caster, but it's because I want to see new tag teams.
Yeah. And I think for me, looking ahead to like the AEW pay-per-views coming up and where things are going storyline wise, I still think Private Party should be challenging the Young Bucks.
Yes.
They should be champs. And I think maybe that pay-per-view that's between Christmas and New Year's, World's End, I think maybe there, because you could film a little vignette of like a New Year's party with your new champs, and it would be cute. It'd be good like Twitter PR, Twitter engagement. But I also think that they have a lot of tag teams, not just in Ring of Honor, but in AEW, who should be getting more than what they are. And I think a lot of that space is taken up by the Acclaimed. And so I think if you defeat the Acclaimed, you push them aside, you could break them up, you could keep them together. I don't care. Get rid of them. You have FTR, you have Grizzled Young Vets who basically just debuted, like for reals. Top Flight has their rebrands, which controversial, but I enjoy it. I like the pilot outfits. Not gonna lie, I'm into it. I like it. And you have a stacked tag team division, and they're like acting like they don't, which is the weird part to me. Like, it's almost like they're acting as though Will Ospreay needs to be in the tag division for some reason. Which,
if this is how we scoot everything along, right? And we get out, you know who, with his stupid little scar and his stupid little shoes, and it's causing dissonance with Takeshita, which if you saw those little looks, I am so into it. And then we have Mark Davis allegedly coming back soon. It's like, I see where we're going with this, but Will Ospreay does not need to be wasting his time. Yeah. He already has a belt too, so.
Yeah, and so like for me, I understand that Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher are friends. I understand that they are like stablemates. I get it. But I also think AEW is at a point where they had a lot of good momentum coming out of All Out, and this would have been a really, really good opportunity to do the Private Party match or something fun, something fresh. And Will Ospreay versus members of the Elite is a story as old as time.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Kenny Omega is not here, so we're not getting the Kenny Omega match that we want. But I also think you could have had, and if Mark Davis is coming back soon, you could have saved this and done it with Mark Davis, and it would have been a cool thing for
so much cooler.
So much cooler, like a fun, feel-good thing for Full Gear. And it didn't work out that way. But part of me also, I'm like, okay, if they're going to have the Young Bucks drop to like an established tag team, I guess it makes sense to have something pieced together in the meantime so that you're not having the Young Bucks run through all your tag teams. You know, you have, because there is something wonky about putting two singles people together and being like, here's a tag team that kind of like softens the blow when they lose to a tag team. I get it. So part of me gets that point, but I also think you should have just done Private Party at All Out. I'm gonna be honest, if they should have done Private Party, they should have won. I'm so confused why it wasn't. And now the Acclaimed,
they look so good. I don't
Private
understand.
Party, and the Private Party and the story of the Young Bucks sells itself, right? But Private Party is also so over. People always get excited about Private Party.
Oh my God, is that Private Party?
Hang on, is that Private Party? And Takeshita versus Okada, dreams.
Bitch.
If it means genuinely we're getting that match and Don Callis is disappearing, whatever. I'll take whatever I can get. I'm so sick of Don Callis.
We were not going to talk about his name. That's why I said he who shall not be named.
No, I'm going to call him out. I am not afraid of Don Callis. If Don Callis tried to fight me, I am fully confident in my ability to destroy him.
Oh my God.
And I think
violent.
I could verbally eviscerate Don Callis. I could physically eviscerate him. He does not stand a chance.
Oh.
So that's why he surrounds himself with excellence, like Will Ospreay and Takeshita. And you know what? He's a coward. And I cannot wait to see Takeshita beat him up. Because I think he's going to.
I think he's going to as well, but that would be awesome.
Gonna give him a new scar.
What if it was like a cross and then he thinks he's Jesus?
What if he gives him like the Harry Potter lightning strike and he gives new characters that he's Harry Potter? The new characters that he's an 11-year-old boy. And you could give him a ginger best friend. Are there any gingers in AEW? I don't think so.
Gingers? Do you forget? You're not even thinking of him, are you? Buddy?
Oh
my gosh.
Oh.
How dare you forget Buddy?
I'm so sorry. But give him a ginger best friend and it'll be good. That's where he should be.
Blake Christian and Buddy Matthews tagging together. They're just the ginger boys.
The gingers.
The ginger snaps and they snap your limbs off.
Tony Khan, are you listening?
Yeah, Tony, are you listening? Have Ed Sheeran's music be their intro so they're unassuming.
And Ed Sheeran could play them to the ring. Stop.
What? I'm so sorry.
Ed Sheeran would love that too.
Unhinged.
He's exactly that kind of weird. He would love that. Listen, Tony, if you're listening, these are free.
These are free.
The Ginger Snaps versus FTR dream match. What I love about FTR, and I don't know if I've ever said this, is that physically they look the same, right? Somehow genetics aligned to produce two humans that are the exact same height and basically the exact same body proportions. And one of them just happens to be bald. But they are physically clones of each other. I love that. They look more like more similar than Nick and Matt Jackson. like genuinely.
I can't with you. Kylie, what are you?
No, I'm wrong.
I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. Not now.
Everybody in the chat agrees with me because they know I'm right. I've always loved that about FTR. I really have. Even when they were in WWE, I was like, wow. Like, the same skin tone, same body proportions, basically the same weight, the same height, all that kind of stuff.
Honestly,
they were destined to be a tag team.
Do you know that Dax has me blocked?
On Twitter?
Mm-hmm. I just found that out. I don't know where it went wrong.
The only person... I'm probably blocked by more wrestlers than this, but the only one who I know who has blocked me is Ryback.
Well, it's an honor. That's a badge of honor.
Yeah. Yeah, see? I'm 100% correct. Jose in the chat says so.
One is a family and one is sad.
But listen. Back to the Young Bucks. We're letting ourselves in. But the tag team division is in such a delicate spot that I don't necessarily agree with the Kyle Fletcher Will Ospreay thing, but I could see why it would be important. It's going to be a good match regardless. But if it doesn't end with Private Party being tag champs, then I'm not into it at all. at the end of the day. You know, so you have FTR and Grizzled Young Vets and Outrunners like doing their shenanigans, their real wrestling shenanigans over on Collision. So if you can keep them occupied doing that and get the Young Bucks to private party on Dynamite, okay,
I'm into it.
I'm into it. I'll tolerate it. That's why I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, because I can kind of see where the stories are going. And if it's a building block to get Takeshita versus Okada, I think, obviously, and a building block to get the Young Bucks to a challenger that comes in with a lot of momentum. Because if you have the Young Bucks bragging, we beat Will Ospreay, we beat Kyle Fletcher, we beat, you know, all these people. Okay, I get it. I think people who are feeling disheartened in the tag division, I think it's valid.
Give me more tag teams, please. I appreciate that we are getting more tag team on Ring of Honor as well. But my thoughts still stand on the Kingdom taking over again, Ring of Honor, just for Adam Cole to come back. So
I miss Adam Cole.
I miss him so much.
His gaming streams are a lot of fun. Like, he's just genuinely like a very bubbly personality, very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we talked about this, but I do agree that one, Ring of Honor could benefit from having a star of that caliber.
Absolutely.
Because they, especially, and speculation, not a report, disclaimer, if Ring of Honor is going to Max, that'd be a hell of a way to debut. If you have them on Max and Adam Cole shows up, it doesn't get much better than that. Don't talk about Gates of Agony in my chat.
Okay, we don't acknowledge them as a tag team.
They are not.
I'll acknowledge Khan. And well.
And everybody but Brian Cage is okay.
Toliona. Great. Fantastic.
Brian Cage. It's Brian Cage. That's the problem. But let's not derail. Back to Adam Cole. We will not let Brian Cage have our precious moment.
Baby. He's my figure of Adam Cole. Sits right here at my desk.
I don't have an Adam Cole. I need to get one.
I got this one for my birthday.
I have 2 sets of FTR. I have a Cody and no Adam Cole.
I have 2 Codys. I have one in a jacket. Why did I buy it? I don't know. It was staring at me.
I have 2 Kennys and 2 Hangmans.
Well, same.
I have a CM Punk.
Oh, no thanks. No thanks.
He's on my wall in between Christian and Cody.
Okay, we need to know, should we do an extra show or should we use a Wrestling Made Me Cry so that we can show our favorite figures? Is that something that y'all want to see? Maybe
when we do like the Halloween episodes, we'll do it as like a special at the end. We'll be like, this is a new segment and we'll show our figures and stuff. Because I have a pretty like decent amount of figures and they're
same.
They're pretty cool. So
they are pretty cool.
I
tried to do more floating shelves because you can't see. I have one floating shelf back there. Can't figure out how to do it again. I have it. It's sitting. Hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
I want to do it again.
I don't know how to hang a shelf. I don't know any of that. I just call a man in my life and I make him do it. But somehow I think they're born with the knowledge of how to do it.
That's that's a stereotype. That's not.
It is a stereotype, but listen, my brother-in-law, he knows everything about drywall. Yeah, he's
a skill. What if a wrestler had that skill? Like, I don't know anything about wrestling, but drywall.
They just like, it's like Cask of Amontillado. Do you guys like Edgar Allan Poe? I love Edgar Allan Poe. But if you haven't read Cask of Amontillado, basically, this guy tricks his enemy into going into the wine cellar with him to get Amontillado, and he bricks him into the thing and he dies. And that'd be, if a wrestler did that,
That's murder. That's
well, yeah. Well, Edgar Allan Poe, all his things are about murder and like gothic themes and stuff like that. So
not for me. Not for me. That is not for me.
You're telling me if a wrestler lured his enemy into his basement and bricked him in to like an alcove, you wouldn't
This
be
sounds
like,
like this sounds like Hangman versus Swerve 5.
It makes the Bryan Danielson suffocation look like child's play.
That's true. How do you even you can't get out of that?
No, because he brings him into his little thing and he's like, yeah, look at all this wine, whatever. He like chains him to the wall and then breaks him in and then just leaves. And because like, no, there's a party upstairs, but nobody can hear him yelling because obviously he's bricked into the wall. Yeah, Fall of the House of Usher is really good on Netflix. Yeah, Edgar Allan Poe, storytelling genius. Edgar Allan Poe is kind of like Wheeler Yuta in that the tragedies of Edgar Allan Poe's life led to his artistry. And so like he's a suffering artist, you know? That's Wheeler Yuta currently. Everybody should read Edgar Allan Poe. I read so much Edgar Allan Poe in school. I don't know what they read in school nowadays.
I don't know what they read in school either. My niece was trying to tell me, and I went, I'm sorry, I've never heard of any of this.
Yeah, apparently they don't read that much Shakespeare anymore.
I mean, the more we learn about Shakespeare.
Yeah. I mean, Romeo and Juliet's kind of a banger. Othello pops off.
Yeah, did you... so the early 2000s, right? All those movies where they would have Shakespeare renditions in, you know, in the form of like a teen, right? Yeah. Whatever. So the Othello one I bought, and my mom was like, "What is this? What are you watching?" And I'm like, "It's literally Shakespeare. I'm learning Shakespeare."
I thought you were going to say you watched the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet where they're like surfers.
I loved that one.
That was so good. So we watched that in class. In freshman year English, we watched it. And our teacher also made us learn, so you know the dancing scene in Romeo and Juliet where they're all like dancing at the ball? We had to learn how to do that and dance it in class for a final project. She like assigned all of us parts of Romeo and Juliet and made us reenact it.
The 10 Things I Hate About You is The Taming of the Shrew, which
Shakespeare pops off. So good. I don't think we read anything anymore.
I wish that I had time to read more Shakespeare.
Yeah. I just read a lot of Shakespeare in school. And I don't know if that was just what my teachers wanted us to read or if that's like something that was standard when I was in school. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But we also read we read In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, which we probably should not have read.
Yeah,
it was scary. It was scary. We read Of Mice and Men, which is Chef's Kiss, beautiful.
So good. I reference it all the time, and because my husband has never read anything from Steinbeck. Mm-hmm. And I'm so like, you don't even know The Pearl? Come on. Do you know about The Pearl? The Pearl?
Yeah, did you read Heart of Darkness?
Yes.
Yeah. So good.
So good.
We're a literature podcast. That's what I'm discovering. That's why you and me are so good at analyzing wrestling stories.
Yeah.
We're educated.
I know. That's what happens. My semester that I spent in London was dedication to learning the phonemic language, right? Learning about English and why it is the way that it is. But I also spent a huge chunk doing this whole Shakespearean study. And it just made me more and more upset that like, because I was homeschooled for a very big chunk of my adolescence, right? And then I got thrown into a public high school. And I was so disappointed at the level of reading that other people didn't do. I used to spend hours and hours and hours just being lost into literature. And then I would go to high school and they're reading like Animal Farm. And I'm like, oh, I read that in like 6th grade. They're like,
Yes.
oh.
Or
and people don't know allegory and they don't understand like
yes.
The message in the
Should we do a book club podcast?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do a book club podcast. I'm gonna make a poll on Twitter. I'm gonna be like, should we do a book club podcast? Because I have like so many thoughts about like the lack of literacy being taught in schools and like how it's contributing to major issues. So let's get back to wrestling because our audience right now is like Steinbeck. Who's
basically wrestling is it's a story that's already been told that is told in other ways, right?
Yes. And the good thing about wrestling, which I think is kind of underrated, is that it's a combination of like stage performance and monologue, right? But it's also this like combat element where there's like pretty significant consequences in the ring, but also like that is also a storytelling medium. And so I think what I really, really like about wrestling is it's sort of the best things about like an action movie and a drama in one. I love wrestling. I don't know if you guys could tell. It's not an act.
It's not an act. Oh my god. It's not an act.
In case you were wondering, it's not. But let's get back to just talking about wrestling before we go like too far off the deep end. What is this show? I don't know what is happening today.
Honestly, but that's the thing. It's like we just had PLE from WWE, right? 2 weeks ago, all out. We've already gone over. We've already acknowledged that pay-per-view for what it was. We're just seeing the fallout of other things, right? TNA had a fantastic pay-per-view this weekend. I haven't had the honor of rewatching, but I saw that Mike Bailey got the X Division title back, which is exactly where it should be. They wasted their time. It's not wasting time, but they gave it to Zachary Wentz so that he could have his little feud with Wesley on NXT. The partnership with TNA and NXT is going swimmingly. What do you think of that? Because I remember that AEW and TNA were having that partnership in 2021 for a while, and I don't know.
I think that the AEW TNA partnership was better for TNA because AEW was able to send more stars, and I think the AEW and TNA audiences overlap a lot more than the NXT TNA audiences overlap. So I do think that TNA has gotten access to stories that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to tell because the talent were in TNA or NXT. Yeah. And I also think that Kenny Omega going to TNA is a bigger deal than anything NXT can give to TNA.
Absolutely.
Simply because the audiences are so different. And I think, I mean, if you go on Twitter, anytime NXT is on and there's people from TNA, NXT fans, some of them, they know TNA wrestlers, they're familiar with them, they don't watch TNA. And they're not following people to TNA. Like TNA, there's no like significant spike in viewership. But a lot of them also just don't care about any of these people from TNA. So Kenny Omega going to TNA is, I think, objectively a bigger deal. But I also think TNA, I think in the long term, the NXT thing might be better. Because you don't get like a spike in viewership from Kenny Omega that disappears as soon as he's not there. And it's too early to tell, but like maybe the partnership with NXT and TNA, it like gives more building blocks that TNA can sort of feed off of and then NXT can also feed off of. I'm not sure. I personally have not been all that interested, to be honest. I don't think that's like been a secret. But like I think at the end of the day, TNA does. I think trying to work with WWE to increase your brand value and get your name out there, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think TNA needs to get more from NXT than what they are, or more from WWE in general.
I think the things that I would agree. I think the things that they mutually exchange, right? TNA is sending their higher level talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the Jordan Graces, with the Joe Hendrys, sending them Zachary Wentz, obviously, sending them to NXT is giving them a different viewership, which I think is great. You're seeing those pops already at the NXT shows, which is fantastic. But I would agree that some of the talent at NXT, and someone was trying to tell me, I'm not going to name names, but someone was trying to tell me that NXT is not a developmental brand.
WWE can say that all they want, but we all know the truth.
We know the truth. There are so many people who, yes, they are part of the what is that program of athletes, right? Of
the college athlete thing.
Yeah, whatever
yeah.
So we know that like a bunch of people who are not indie talent came through and they're learning how to wrestle. Yes, they are great athletes, and yes, we are seeing them develop. But it's literally developmental. They are developing as wrestlers. They don't have it yet, but they are going to do great later. I mean, I personally think that Roxy has everything that she needs, right? Roxanne Perez.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that a long time ago, but I do think that giving her that extra oomph, that extra exposure, fantastic for her. Cora Jade, when she comes back, is going to do tremendous for her. We're obviously seeing how great it did for Braun Breaker. It is a developmental brand, and having TNA, where I feel like there are veterans in TNA, and that's why I have such a weird brain thing when they're like, oh yeah, Motor City Machine Guns, they're going to go to NXT. That's where they want to go. They want to help develop. And I'm like, if this was 10 years ago, I would have been like, okay, this makes sense. Why are they not being made a big deal on the main roster?
Yeah. And like the thing that confuses me about that, but in a couple of people in the chat have mentioned Rosemary. I love Rosemary. I've loved Rosemary since I was like a child. There's actually, you can't see it because the light reflects on it, but that is an old autographed picture from Rosemary. But Motor City being on NXT, like, I think that even if they're on the main roster, they can work with young talent and still be in that role. I mean, by all social media posts, CM Punk is in that spot, right? Like working with young people and also being on the main roster. And I think Motor City, I think that there's more value in having them on the main roster because the caliber of the matches increases. And I think there's also a lot of tag teams on the main roster on Raw and on SmackDown that could benefit from having a more veteran team that isn't a WWE bred tag team, if that makes any sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're unique. And I think Alex Shelley getting his flowers, like,
right, getting the main title, like getting all of those like singles right. Alex Shelley is, and it's not to say that like separate they aren't wonderful, but together that's where the money is. They are money any which way that you go, because we can see over the 20 plus years that they have been actively wrestling that both of them are worth far more than just a developmental deal. And yes, I don't know how long they're going to be in NXT. That's not to say that they're going to be stuck there for 2, 3, 4 years. All I'm saying is that it sounds like what they want them to do cannot be achieved in a short amount of time. And that makes me nervous.
Yeah. And I fully support Motor City doing whatever they want to do with their careers. Cause like, as far as I'm concerned, they earned it. But I also, I don't know. I think WWE should have been like, no, you're going to be on the main roster, because I think they're more valuable on the main roster. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that NXT has a shortage of veterans to work with new talent. Like, look at the staff in NXT, right?
Right.
And like, I don't think that they're starving for veterans to help especially these people who have not grown up with wrestling, aren't trained in wrestling yet, that kind of thing. But I don't know. It's just a confusing move to me. I really don't get it. And I do think that there are people who will watch NXT just to see Motor City. But I also think, I don't know how long they'll stay. I don't know. You show up to see Motor City debut and like their first couple matches, whatever. I'm not sure that at the end of the day that people will hang around NXT, because to me, NXT, the vibes of it are a lot different from what Motor City historically in their career has produced.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a bit strange, but hey, Motor City, you can do whatever you want to do, baby. I will support you.
We will. Yeah. Good. I mean, I also think that like, I want to see Chris Sabin awarded the same opportunities as Alex Shelley, but I think that Alex Shelley, in my opinion, is the better wrestler out of the two. But the two of them together have so much chemistry that I do think that a lot of people can learn from it, but I don't think that it's something that you can teach. Yeah.
It's just one of those things, and I think that I don't want it to sound like I'm knocking TNA, because I'm not, because I think TNA does excellent work. But, like, I don't think at the end of the day that NXT TNA is going to be a significantly long-term thing unless WWE, God forbid, buys TNA or something. I think that ultimately, I think there will be diminishing returns for TNA. I think it's just natural.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And also, people in the chat are mentioning they're going to CW. Forgot about that. I don't know.
I forgot about that too.
CW as a network. Don't know about her. I have my thoughts on the CW as a network. And I think anybody who's a fan of like 20 teens television has their thoughts on CW. But listen, and Martin, you don't need to spam the chat with your question. It's not a WWE podcast. We already talked about AEW. We talked about AEW for an hour.
Yeah.
So you can go back and watch that if you would like. We talked about Collision. We talked about Jon Moxley. We talked about a lot of stuff. But now we're talking about WWE because it's not an AEW podcast. It's not a WWE podcast either. But back to the CW. They made a lot of choices in the content that they were creating that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like they canceled some things and renewed other things. Like, and anybody who's a fan of like that kind of television knows. So like NXT being there is a little strange to me. But you know what? We're optimistic. Same thing as WWE to Netflix. You know what? I'll be optimistic.
I'll be optimistic too.
I have no idea what Netflix is going to do. Netflix, like it's so, in Netflix, the price of Netflix keeps going up, which is crazy to me because they're offering less and less. I
have to there's going to be a show on Netflix that we have to talk about, and I'm going to be on somebody's podcast talking about it. It's The Villain something. Nope. Queen of the Villains is coming to Netflix. It's based on oh no, I'm gonna butcher it. Dump Matsumoto.
Oh yes.
Yeah, sorry. I think we should review that. Because wrestling does make us cry in any forms, right? Yeah. The whole reason for this podcast is to talk about all the things in wrestling that made us cry. Yes, WWE can make us cry. AEW, TNA, NXT, anything outside of wrestling that is wrestling related is going to make us cry. It's going to make us have emotion. Yeah. And that's what we're doing here. And honestly, all these different wrestling shows going to different platforms gives me hope that the AEW deal is going to be signed on the dotted line very soon. Yeah. Tony Khan said it was 90%. I don't know if it's going to be within the next month. I don't know if it's going to be within the next 2 months, but it's coming. And I'm excited to see what that brings because more wrestling means greatness, right?
Yeah. Just to be upfront and honest, I will not be watching or talking about the McMahon docuseries. So
no.
So just like for the audience's sake, we're not going to talk about it on the podcast. I'm not going to talk about it on Twitter at all. Also, the AEW to Fox rumors, little interesting. So I guess we could talk about it a little bit because there's like not that much actually to be said about it besides the fact that like AEW, it was rumored that AEW was going to have this new show on some Fox network. FS1. I don't know what the other ones are. All I know is FS1. But that would be really interesting. One, because I don't think that how do I I don't think Rampage
Go on.
Going to Fox, right? As it currently exists, would be good. But I also think because it was the trademark offices that we're talking about. People were saying that AEW filed a new trademark for AEW Shockwave, right? So generally speaking, I don't think AEW needs 4 shows. 5 if you include Ring of Honor. But if one of those shows gets moved to Fox whatever, Fox Sports 1, Fox whatever, Fox. What are the other ones? It's Fox, right? It's just Fox? I don't know. But being on there, because like for me, I found both TNA and Ring of Honor when I was a kid, just scrolling through like my guide on my TV.
Yeah, same.
And I think Fox has a bigger audience than TNT, TBS, or like Max or anything like that. So I think that there's a benefit for AEW, even if they get paid pennies to have a show on Fox. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Because like, I don't know what Fox wants. Because people are saying Fox was, low-key disappointed with the SmackDown numbers because SmackDown debuted. I don't know if you guys remember. They debuted on Fox and they hit like 4 million viewers. And that like
insane.
And they very quickly dropped. So like obviously there's an audience for wrestling on Fox. Like wrestling fans or just people who are scrolling through trying to find something to watch at night. There's obviously an audience. So I think in general, AEW does benefit from that. Will it happen? I don't know. I think ultimately it comes down to, I guess, is there exclusivity with the Warner Brothers networks? Don't know. Have no idea. And 2, will Fox and AEW be able to reach a point where they're both okay with the price? Because like Fox, obviously, they're not going to pay AEW what they paid for SmackDown. It's not going to happen. But like I said, even if AEW makes pennies, I think there's value in it. So like if I'm Tony Khan, I'm exploring my options. And you can't very well leave Warner Brothers entirely because you have 2 titles named after the networks that you're on.
That's true. But how quickly they could drop them for some money, right?
This is the Fox title and the whatever another network that's under Fox.
I don't know. FS1.
I don't know either. I don't know anything about Fox, if I'm being completely honest. All I know is FS1, and I know FS1 1 because I like sports, and 2 because FS1 was thrown around so much when they're like Raw, or no, they're like SmackDown's on FS1 this week, and so they lost to AEW. Blah, 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 all that. Remember that era? Yeah.
Weird. You'll never guess who hit 640 days. Guess who?
Who?
Athena as the freaking ROH Women's World Champion. Today is 640 days as champion, the longest reigning.
Crazy.
Right. Absolutely insane. Insane. One more day and we're going over Samoa Joe's current reign. Insane.
Athena deserves everything. I'm so confused about Athena because yes, Athena is Athena is Ring of Honor. But also, I think by now, Athena should have been... Like, imagine the current state of the AEW women's division.
Right.
With Athena in there. And, like, the banger matches they would put in, all that kind of stuff. I think Athena is essential to Ring of Honor. I think Ring of Honor needs Athena, blah, 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 whatever. But also, like, what's best for Athena? And what's best for Athena is wrestling Mercedes and wrestling Tony and wrestling Yuka and Chris and Camille and Willow and all the people in the AEW Women's Division. And it's best for me, too.
The longest reigning champion in ROH history right now is Athena. And honestly, she's been carrying the entire show on her back. So, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And I think even if you're not a big fan of Athena as a wrestler, right? I think you have to acknowledge that she's kind of like, she's the ace of Ring of Honor and also one of like the unsung heroes of women's wrestling, not just in Ring of Honor, but I think in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, when she was in NXT, icon. Main roster WWE, icon. And people get so excited every time they see her. Like, I think back to when she would make random sporadic appearances on like the pre-show of AEW pay-per-views, and people would go nuts for her. So, like, I don't understand. Tony, are you listening? Athena,
she should be on the main shows. She should be fighting hussies. Come on.
I also think there's a point where her being in Ring of Honor, not that she's taking a spot from a younger talent who could use it, right? But I think that, like, being the one who beats Athena is a good way to establish like a new world champion and then move Athena away and then, like, allow that women's division to flourish. But, I mean, nothing else in Ring of Honor is really flourishing except for
Athena.
Which you are not happy about, but listen. I think Ring of Honor, if it goes to Max, I think, and maybe it's me being like stupidly optimistic, but I think it'll flourish. I think it'll be really good. I say that, and it's like famous last words. Like,
thanks.
Actually, it's going to be all Brian Cage, and he's going to win every title.
I want you to shut your beautiful mouth. Thank you. But in my opinion, Billy Starks is going to take it. It's going to be at Final Battle. They've been building it and building it and building it. That's their storyline. I love a long storyline. You know that. So it's going to be Billy M. That's what we're going to see. And I'm here for it. So.
Ooh, we can finish with this if you like. Nigel versus Bryan Danielson.
Oh my God.
So, if you've like been living under a rock, right? Nigel McGuinness has been on AEW commentary, basically smack talking Bryan Danielson for months. And he shows up at All In. He is like a surprise entrant into the Gauntlet Casino. Was it Gauntlet? The Gauntlet match, whatever it's called. I was so excited to see him. He looked in great shape, impeccable. And now it's going to be Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson. And this is what dreams are made of, first of all. But Nigel and Bryan have a long, long history, which is too long to really unpack in a podcast. But basically
37 matches, by the way.
Basically, they have the rivalry that goes back like decades. And so Bryan goes to WWE. And I think Bryan Danielson talked about this in a promo somewhere. And Nigel doesn't because he, tore his bicep and, didn't lie about it and cost him his job, right? Bryan lied about it because Bryan's a liar and he'll be straight up front with you. He's a liar, which makes the Blackpool Combat Club story all the more interesting. Anyway, so now it's Nigel versus Bryan. With all this history, all this animosity, Nigel McGuinness has something to prove. Bryan Danielson has something to prove, and it's that I've not been defeated by this horrible thing that has happened to me. I can overcome the trauma, blah, blah, blah. I'm so excited.
I'm excited because here's the thing. Wrestling is for the sickos, right? And long-term storytelling is not hindered by, if you've never watched Ring of Honor, if you don't know this story, this lineage, you have no idea what's going on. So many people know what's going on. So many people have a gist of what it is. But if you don't have that intel, A, the internet exists, but B, it's not like they're not telling a story right now for you to hear. You don't need to know about all the different matches, the pure title matches, all the other gimmicked matches that they've had in Ring of Honor to know that these two men fucking hate each other, and they have hated each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that Bryan Danielson got opportunities that Nigel McGuinness did not get.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, he has a chip on his shoulder. And I think AEW has done a really good job of catching people up, because sometimes when Nigel talks about Bryan, he drops little tidbits like from the past, right? And they've done a good job. Like if you're just watching AEW, right, you're pretty much caught up, you know. And what I'm most excited about, I think, one, obviously, Nigel being back and being healthy enough to wrestle is a big deal, right? It's always a big deal when someone bounces back like that. But I'm also excited to see how Bryan handles it, because he's coming back from being suffocated by people he loves. Yuta's there being sad all the time. So it's like Bryan coming back from the high of All In, the depression of All Out, he's going to be completely different. He's going to be a completely different person. So I'm excited to see how that comes across in his wrestling, if he'll have a little more of an edge to him, or on the flip side, if he'll be so traumatized by like being betrayed by the people he loves that he's afraid to inflict harm onto someone else. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think AEW is really good about, and I think we talked about this, AEW is really good about helping older veterans get healthy and then allowing them to wrestle and sort of close out and these stories and, you know, put a period at the end of these sentences and that kind of stuff. So Nigel's just another one of those people really, really benefiting from this. And I don't know if Nigel's just coming back to do this match or if Nigel will do other stuff. I have no idea. But I think that this is something, and it's heartwarming for me to see, because I think it's something that both of them have probably wanted for a long time. So it's heartwarming as a fan to see it finally happen. I'm so excited. I am
speechless. I am so jealous of anyone that actually gets to be physically at Grand Slam, getting to see history be made, because I missed it at Wembley and I'm going to miss it because I don't live in New York State anymore, which pisses me off, because honestly, if I went to my job and I was like, hey, can I take off for like what? I would need like 3 days vacation last minute. Who wants to pay my flight? Like, it's one of those things that like I'm watching history be made on television, and that has to be okay for me. But I'm just going to be so jealous of everyone who gets to see it live and in person. So
yeah, I'm very jealous, but I'm still excited that it's happening, and I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to then come back on here and talk about it.
Well, we have to ask our lovely friend Kate about all the things. The genuine experience of it all.
I'll send her a voice memo and I'll be like, hey, lay it out for me, and then I'll come here and I'll play it
minute by minute. Give us a synopsis.
I need your commentary. I need all of the things. But yeah, we're coming up on an hour and a half, so I just want to ask you. This was a crazy podcast. I'm going to be honest, guys. It was a little crazy, but I had a good time. Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Chaperone is your best new artist at the VMAs, and I'm ready for Chaperone to sing Hangman into a match. Ready for it.
Chaperone, I adore, and I adore obviously her music, but also I love the way that she like protects her boundaries and yells at the paparazzi. We need more of that.
We need
Why
more.
don't more celebrities yell at the paparazzi?
They should. After watching how many freaking documentaries where we see the just assault people that we love, that entertain us, and then we're sitting here going, oh my gosh, she told them to shut the fuck up. Like, okay, the paparazzi ran Britney Spears off the road with her kids in the vehicle. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No.
I would yell at them every day. But also, that kind of reminded me, you brought up the VMAs. Shout out Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion. That's where I was going to next. Absolutely. What an honor for her theme to be on SmackDown in front of so many new eyes that love rap music sung by a Black female artist.
This was controversial, and I shouldn't have been shocked that it was, but I was, because I was like, okay, Megan is one of the fastest rising stars in current music. You know, she's branching off into like anime stuff. She's branching into like acting stuff. I thought it's a home run because if, you know, the younger audience is going to go crazy for Megan. What I didn't realize was that people would take it very personally as an attack on them.
I don't care. Here's the thing. I don't care if you think the song is ass. There's so many wrestling songs. We've survived WrestleManias sung by The Weeknd year after year after year. Yeah. And I said, ooh, okay, cool, great. We've endured that. Let us have something that we like. It's okay for you to not like it, but for you to say, bring back actual wrestling music. This is catering to those people. That sounds a little. That sounds a little.
I'm getting the undertones, but I also think I, as a fan, had to listen to Chris Jericho singing not that long ago, and so let me have Megan. I love Megan. Listen, I have a lot as a wrestling fan, especially in WWE when half of the themes are ass. More than half. 75%
Thank God.
Ass.
Thank God that Def Rebel is no longer going to be working with WWE.
And we don't need. Listen, and people are saying, "Oh, it's disrespectful to Rock." Rock owns wrestling since when? Since when? Since when? As far as I know, music and wrestling have always gone hand in hand. And right now, you know what's hot right now? It's rap music, but it's also music sung by women. And it's Megan. And you know what? If you want to go listen to your metal music and you want to listen to, I don't know, I don't even know what's popular now because I don't listen to metal or hardcore or anything like that. But if you want to listen to that, no one is stopping you. But I don't want to listen to that.
I don't want to listen to it. And it's not what makes money. And WWE, I'm going to let you guys know this and on a little secret. Wrestling companies like WWE are only going to do things if it makes money. If it does not make money, they're not going to do it.
Yeah. And like Megan licensing the song to WWE is a big deal. I don't care if you don't like her, if you don't like her music, whatever. It's a big deal. But people are like saying some awful things about it. But if it was another corny dad rap or dad rock song about like, yeah, I'm so tough. I got a guitar. Yeah, let's go beat up dudes at the bar. Like, they would have salivated for it.
Oh my God, I love you so much. That's the greatest song ever. You should write it.
I should.
But I mean, metal music has had its time. New metal has had its time. Pop music has had its time. Dad rock has had its time in WWE. This is what's making money right now. And I'm all here for it. And why not? Why not?
Period.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't remember. I don't know what I was going to say. My brain just flip the switch on its own.
Also, I mean, I mentioned that Def Rebel is no longer going to be doing the music for entrance themes, and they are encouraging them to use mainstream artists or, you know, whatever. That's going to make everything so much better, because that's the thing that's made WWE ass is right at the Royal Rumble. I was sitting there and I'm hearing the music and I'm like, I have no idea who this is. Shayna Baszler? When did Shayna Baszler's theme be such ass?
Yeah. And it's crazy because there are themes in WWE that really stand out. And like Cody's theme, for example, you know immediately that's Cody.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, which
It's
a good song, but it's rock, and it could have very easily sounded just as generic, but it's because Cody, it's like a legit band, right? It's like Cody licensed it on the Indies and Ring of Honor and AEW, whatever. But there's some where it's just generic noise, and then it's like, I'm gonna win. Generic noise, generic noise, generic noise. And then it's like, no one can stop me. Generic noise. And that's what they are. I hate it.
The best way to make a new face in wrestling sound legitimate is to put them behind good music. And I know that a lot of people in AEW don't like Mikey Ruckus, but what having Mikey Ruckus on staff has done has brought in some really good bangers. Music that I listen to at the gym when I need to get like just 10 more minutes of lifting. And I'm like, what is going to pump me up? Jamie Hayter's theme. Jamie Hayter's theme literally kicks my ass into gear. Like,
there's nothing better for me than when I'm doing cardio and I'm on like my last little stretch and I turn on the FTR theme, or I turn on Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Or Adam Cole is another great one. I love Mikey. Every time I've met Mikey in person, absolute gem of a human being.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like on Twitter, incredible, a gem. So people who are hating on Mikey, go away. I will stand up for Mikey. Like if you swing at Mikey, I'm going to swing at you.
Okay. I wish that you were coming to Wrestle Dream.
I might be going to World's End in Orlando.
That would mean I would have to go to Orlando.
Yeah, and it's not even the good part of Orlando. It's University Orlando, not Disney Orlando.
Oh, not Disney? Oh!
Yeah, Swerve's music is excellent. Swerve's
absolutely.
Yeah. There's a lot of really
crowd involved.
Page's song is great. The Young Bucks is great. So many good ones. Ace says, which genre and music will make a comeback? I think we're experiencing right now. It's country music.
Country.
Yeah.
Putting the CUNT into country.
Yeah. Like country music that isn't problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the bluegrassy vibes are starting to show up a lot, and I think Gen Z really likes it. So yeah. But yeah, I love Mikey.
Same.
Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this show up?
Just watch wrestling, watch what you like, and if you want to be a hater like us, create your own podcast. Don't I mean, as much as I love having conversations with people in my DMs, and it's why I've opened my comments, is that I love having that conversation. You can disagree with me, and I totally love that. The moment that you go personal and you start talking about shit that doesn't matter, that's when I know there's nothing going on up in your dome, right? So just don't be a fucking idiot. Don't be rude. Don't be transphobic. Don't be misogynistic. Don't be homophobic. Just be a good fucking person. And if you don't like something in wrestling, you can have a conversation with someone without being a fucking dick. That's what I gotta say.
Period. As for me,
yeah.
Listen, I don't see, like, people talk shit in my replies. I don't look at them. Like, you're shouting at a wall.
Same.
You're literally talking to a wall and you're embarrassing yourself. But also, I have said time and time again that I am a hater, and I have no problem being a hater. I will be a hater. So tread carefully. But also, I'm really excited about where wrestling is going. I'm really excited about AEW specifically because I think there's been some bumps in the road the last couple weeks, but I think generally AEW is going to a good spot. And also, I miss Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega Prayer Circle. Like, someone saw him at, like, Halloween Horror Nights, and they put a picture on Twitter, and my heart was, like, I felt so sad, like, overwhelmingly sad. So, Kenny should, listen, he doesn't do his own live shows anymore, his own Twitch streams. He should just come onto ours.
He should. I'll take up my spot. Goodbye.
No, you're going to be here.
Oh.
And me, you, and Kenny Omega.
It's fine. I don't need to be here.
No, imagine the chaos of me, you, and Kenny Omega. See the vision.
I see the vision.
You see the vision. Because me and you, we're a handful.
Mm-hmm.
You add Kenny Omega to the mix, we're cooked. It's going to be a 6-hour live show. We're cooked. But, yeah, overall, yeah, Pat, gonna have to be totally honest, I miss Kenny Omega. Me too, bud.
I miss him so much. I would die for him.
I would die for Kenny Omega. When will Kenny shit on the bloodline? Hopefully he gets on Twitch right now and does it. Oh my god, I miss Kenny Omega. Okay. Go do your plugs. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can follow me on all social media. Oh my gosh, this is wrong. It says queer auntie. That is not who I am. I wrote that myself. Oh my gosh, this whole time. This is not me. It's somebody else. There we go. Listen, I'm _ queer auntie, not queer auntie because somebody else took that. So on all social media sites, I'm _ queer auntie. We got Twitter, we got Instagram. I'm trying to do better on Instagram. I'm trying to do the stories and not just be cryptic and whatever and just post selfies. I'm trying to show you my life. I'm back on Snapchat. which I think is the funniest thing ever. It's where me and my niece communicate. So I'm not going to be like posting like spicy things or whatever, but it is a social media site that is kind of fun because it is literally just a little quick whatever of what my day is going on. I'm over on TikTok. I'm making all kinds of TikTok videos. Blue Sky, Threads, all the things. Go find me there. You can find me here every Sunday talking about how wrestling has made me cry. You can go over to the OLE podcast right now. So it's our local establishment. There is a interview. So if you want to learn more about me, there is an interview. I learned what the word knob means. It's really great, informative podcast. You'll learn more about me, and it's a lot of fun. I'm over there on every Thursday talking about Ring of Honor. So if you like Ring of Honor and you want to know more things, you can listen to me be a hater of Ring of Honor.
Haters.
Yes, I'm having more shows. Apparently, we're gonna start a literature podcast. We're gonna do a rewatching of the Mae Young Classic and reviewing that. Me and Astrid are. We gotta set that up, and we're just gonna have a good old time talking about wrestling. So,
yes.
All right, where can we find you, Kiley?
At Kiley Wrestling and only Twitter. Please stop trying to follow me on Instagram. It's my private personal Instagram, and it has like 200 followers.
Yeah.
And not to toot my own horn, but if it was available to wrestling people, there would be more. But it's my private personal Instagram, so please stop trying to follow me. Just follow me on Twitter at Kiley Wrestling. There's a couple polls up on my Twitter right now. You should go vote in them. One is about The Rock, and one is about Book Club Podcast. So go vote in those. This is Wrestling Made Me Cry. We're live every Sunday at noon Eastern on Fightful Overbooked. It's a podcast where me and Collins we talk about the things in wrestling that made us cry. We're not beholden to one promotion or to one style of wrestling or whatever. It's just whatever from the week that we thought was good and we wanted to talk about. Also, yes, happy birthday to Jeremy Lambert, aka Jeremy Lambert from Fightful, including Fightful Overbooked. So this is Fightful Overbooked, and it is a channel full of gems. There's wrestling stuff, non-wrestling stuff. It's basically where the people of Fightful come to hang out and have a good time. That's how I describe it. So go to like the playlist tab, You can obviously watch the backlog of our episodes, but there's a lot of other shows going on that you should go check out. Go explore. Shoo. Get out of my face. Go do that. All that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us this week. I had such a blast talking to all of you, and I know it was a chaotic episode, but you know what? I had a lot of coffee. I had a good time with all of you. Please go to my Twitter and let me know what you think about The Rock. I need to know. Right now, I think I'm winning the debate, but we don't know. So all that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.